It's funny how other people's opinion about me has always changed my perception of myself. As a little girl, I remember staring at the mirror and thinking I was the most beautiful thing in the world. I remember watching TV and being angry because I wanted to be on the other side. I wanted to be part of it. I wanted to be part of the party. I grew up in a small town in the south of Brazil. My family is very loving, but very conservative. I grew up thinking I had to follow the graduate, get married, have kids, die kind of rule. As a teenager, I was bullied for being taller and skinnier than most of the girls. I moved to Porto Alegre to go to college, and there I was discovered by a modeling agent. And the very same physical traits for which I was bullied made me beautiful. I loved the idea of becoming a model. It was like jumping to the other side of the TV. But it came with a price. Living under the people's microscope really affected my self-esteem. One day, I saw myself through the eyes of an abuser, and I was finally forced to find beauty for myself. One that will end up saving not only my life, but my soul. As embarrassed and ashamed as I am, I decided to come forward and share my story. My name is Cristine, and this is the story of my quest for beauty. Becoming a model was the first choice I ever made for myself. My parents certainly had different plans for me. My dad is an engineer, so I started studying civil engineering. And during my years in college, I was evaluated according to my grades. And in the modeling world, it was the opposite. It was all about my looks. In the beginning, it was like a party. It was amazing. I got to travel around the world, meet new people. I had so much fun, and I was only 19. But there's this other side that really consumed me. My body was like a commodity. I was never skinny enough or good enough. I abused my body and myself to the point I was not important to me anymore. I wanted so bad to please other people. I wanted so bad to be in the party. When I turned 30, I was completely lost. I wanted to change career, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. I tried journalism, acting, filmmaking, decided to move to LA in the hope that something would happen. My low self-esteem led me to substance and alcohol abuse. And this bad relationship that I had with myself ended up attracting people that would treat me just as bad. In my mid-30s, I met someone. He was 15 years older than me, and I thought that maybe an older guy would at least have his shit together. At first, he was very nice and claimed to be a spiritual person. After we got engaged, things started to disintegrate. From complaining about my friends, my modeling career, he cloned my phone, threw away a bunch of my clothes, yelled at me in public. Then the physical abuse. During the abuse, I remember having flashes of my life. Everything kind of flashed before my eyes. I didn't know if I was gonna live. And I promised to myself that if I made it, I would change. After the incident, I locked myself in my house. I didn't tell anyone about what happened because in my head, it was my fault. I started blaming myself for not being that person that he wanted me to be. I remembered about another fight that we had because I caught him on the phone telling a friend I was looking old. And I realized that he didn't see me. I started hating myself even more for staying with him after he said that. A few days later, I got an invitation for a special screening of the film Forrest Gump. And there's a scene when he's at the Vietnam War and he writes letters to Janie. He was always so positive and saw beauty everywhere.
Then I'd sign each letter, love, Forrest Gump.
In his eyes, I could tell that he could feel beauty. The kind of beauty that I was so hungry to know. It made me want to be like Forrest. Right after watching Forrest Gump was when I had the idea of making a film about beauty. Yeah, I don't really know why a film. I was so desperate to have a purpose, a meaning for still being alive. I wanted to honor the fact that I survived. Looking back now, I think I was like a kid discovering how to make a film. I I did some research and Googled beauty experts and started to email people. And whoever responded were the people that I talked to. For me, beauty was really what I saw on TV, magazines. So I really wanted to stay away from the obvious. I'm like, whatever I'm doing, it's not working. Let's just flip this 180 degrees and see what happens on the other side. I was feeling a little self-conscious for still having bruises on my face. And I was hoping that no one would see them.
We've got this very vast, invisible world. And it's revealed to us not by these senses, but how we feel. You know, I can say, well, this is white, and we can pretty much all agree on that. But if it's something invisible, that's why you're making a whole movie about beauty, because because it's hard to describe, because we can't all, it's invisible, and we can't all agree on it, yeah.
You as a yogi, like, would you have any exercise or something to actually tap
Sure.
inside and,
Oh, yeah.
you know, like, find this inner beauty, find this inner peaceful space?
Yes. This one is called self-care. Put your left hand on the center of your chest and the right hand on top of it, okay? And we're gonna breathe through a rounded mouth with a strong puffing movement. It'll sound like this. Good. Good, so we're just gonna breathe. We're gonna do this for a couple of minutes. Okay, now Chris, try this. Inhale deeply. Hold the breath, press against your chest with your hands, and say to yourself inside, I am innocent, I am beautiful, I am beautiful, I am innocent, I am innocent, I am beautiful, beautiful, I am innocent. Keep repeating it and see if you can feel it, that it feels true, that you find that innocence and that beauty within you, and you're connecting with it just by reminding yourself of it, saying it, saying it, saying it. Exhale, and one more time. Tell us what happened.
It felt like cleansing.
Cleansing.
I guess I touched something in there. I can't really say what it was, but I feel like, yeah,
well,
something happened.
The invisible world is amazing, and
like, you don't need
plastic surgery.
You don't need it.
When the yogi said, you don't need plastic surgery, I thought that that's the next person I should be talking to. And I was expecting that each person I talked to would lead me to the next.
You know, everybody has a little vanity in them. It's part of selling yourself to the world, basically. Everybody likes to be liked, likes to be loved. Now it's gone beyond that, where it's not just the vanity, it's augmented to the point where everybody sees themselves so much that they start noticing little things that just don't really matter or never used to matter. So again, you see yourself in a million digital photos now. You're on Facebook all the time, friends are putting you on Instagram. For some people, beauty makes no difference at all. They live their life in a way where their face is their face, their body is their body, and it makes no difference to them at all. And they do exactly what they would have done, whether they had a different look or not. There's other situations where people do have some psychiatric issues or depression or sadness, and they come to you and they think that this one thing is going to make them happier. Even with those patients, you don't dismiss them. Sometimes it can make them happier. It's not going to fix all their problems, but it's going to make them happier. Nobody wants to hear, hey, you need to go see a psychiatrist.
What are some of the consequences of focusing too much on physical appearance? Culturally, we embed a lot of messages in people, and that some of those are physical beauty. If you're not beautiful enough, you know, you're not worthy. If you're given the message that you're beautiful all the time, you're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're beautiful, and you're not told you're smart, or hey, what about your creative pursuits? What about your this? You're not creating a well-rounded person. You're creating somebody that bases their self-worth, their self-esteem on whether they're pretty or not. You know, you get older and your looks are shifting, and then where's your self-worth? It's tied to your looks. Okay, well then that's done, you know, and it's really unfair. I think it's unfair to raise humans that way.
I reach out to way more women than men, but for whatever reason, men responded better to my emails than women did. When I moved to LA, I discovered this meditation labyrinth, and John, who serves as a spiritual director of this place, agreed to talk to me and even suggested inviting his wife, who is an actress and activist, to also be part of the conversation. And I was like, finally, a woman.
If you have to describe beauty, how would you describe?
To me, it's all God's creation. That's, to me, a form of beauty. And if the body is autistic, deformed, there could be that purity in it that is so beautiful that it completely overrides whether the form is that perfect, because the inner really does, for me, override the outer.
No, I see this as a transcendent moment that we all have as an opportunity in our life to see the beauty, see the good in people and situations. And it's also something I look at as a living choice. So it's alive. But to make the choice, well, what are you going to choose? Are you going to find the ugly? Are you going to find the beauty? Choose.
It was so peaceful, it was so nice. And I remember looking at them together and wishing that one day I have a relationship like they have. After the interviews, I always felt amazing, like, wow, this is really cool. It was almost like a drug that you have and then you feel super high and then it's amazing and then crash back down. And I felt depressed, empty, sad, lonely. At first, I was in denial. I wanted someone to just tell me where to find it. And one day was a yogi, and then a plastic surgeon, a therapist, then I was busy and feeling important. Can you draw beauty? Can I find it in a book? Can someone who's not around it anymore define it? And these were the kind of questions that I had in my head. They were like echoing.
I think we've changed a lot in the last 30 years, 40 years. I think the civil rights movement made a big difference in that. You no longer have to be 5'2" and blonde with blue eyes. You can look somewhat different than that. And now, I mean, there are Black women in ads for anything. And I think they're going out of their way only because they want to hit the market, not because the advertising agency really cares. They'll do whatever they have to do to get people to buy their things. So I think we've come a long way, but we're not there yet.
We are not there yet. When Harriet said it, made me want to explore more the past.
For Plato, the things of this world were passing. There was no consistency. He was asking, what do we mean by beauty if there are no examples of beauty in the world? That everything is subject to change. So he came to the conclusion that beauty really has another kind of identity. It's an ideal. It exists, but it's knowable to the mind. And when I see a person who is beautiful, it just means they have a share in that ideal beauty which never changes, which is always the same, and which, and here's the crucial thing, which is attractive to us. The Greeks weren't thinking of isolating the idea of beauty the way we do. And that led some scholars to deny that the Greeks had an independent concept of beauty at all.
What about more modern philosophers?
Great historical figures in philosophy, such as Kant and Hume. So they had the following worry, basically. They thought, on the one hand, beauty must be in the eye of the beholder, because to find something beautiful is to respond to it with pleasure. It's to respond to it with pleasure as opposed, say, to responding with a different feeling or by having a distinctive experience. So if you see a beautiful view, you're going to have an experience of it, but there's nothing specific that goes with that and all the other experiences that can be the experience of beauty. The only thing common to the experience of all the beautiful things is pleasure.
As much as it was interesting to talk to them, it was frustrating. It was not tangible. I could not go like, oh, this is beauty, and grab it. And then I went to a mathematician wondering if there was an equation that he could draw on a chalkboard and say, this is beauty.
And when I talk about beauty, I talk about internal elegance, consistency. How general is it? How does it connect to different areas? Is it something that I would come back to?
And again, it was something I could not relate to. I had the idea to go see Frank, a guy I met when I lived in New York. When you are in the same room with Frank, the room feels different.
I remember a very wise man said to me, you know, we're all born smart, we're all born intelligent, but some of us grow to be stupid. See, so as you learn certain things, yeah, and it's probably true. I mean, we're taught, we're conditioned to think a certain way. So we have to change the conditioning, but then again, we get more conditioning. So you want to think for yourself. That's number one. You just have to be. It's a state of being. That's probably when the monks, in Tibet talk about nirvana, that's probably what they really mean. So it's a sensation that goes through you, and it's happiness and beauty sort of kind of coming together as one thing. And there's no words. You can't talk about happiness. You just got to be. You got to be in that state. The same thing with what I'm telling you. It's like, something just takes you over and you have to let go.
Talking to Frank was when a little bell started to ring inside of my head. I was waiting for other people to just tell me what beauty was. Part of me wanted to experience beauty.
It's so funny. For decades, before I left my apartment, I check myself in the mirror. I just do this, walk out the door.
That's amazing.
Can't see a thing, but just that habit, I was doing. Sight is not required to experience beauty. You just have to open your heart, open all your senses. And I think part of that is not totally focusing on yourself. You need to reach out to the rest of the world.
Beauty is a birthright.
Just like happiness.
You're born with it. You're born with happiness. You're born with beauty. You're born this beautiful thing. And subliminally, I really think that what I've always wanted is for people is to wake up, to awaken others people's point of view about what's beauty, what's not. I just think that really will bring the world together. And wake up to life, because life is a gift and it should be treated mwah.
If it was impossible to grasp beauty with my mind, maybe I could experience it through my senses. So I set out to see, hear, taste, and touch some of the most beautiful things in the world. I wanted to immerse myself in the mecca of classical music to see if it could teach me something about beauty.
Music is life, and I think that's the beauty of it, especially in the fact that because in life not everything is beautiful, and not everything can be beautiful. Also in music, a lot of things will not be beautiful and are supposed to not be.
That's amazing. Wow.
Of all the senses, taste was perhaps the most challenging. As a model, I used to think that food was my enemy.
For me, food is a beautiful thing. Cooking is a beautiful thing, but it's about presenting it in its most natural state, whether that's, you know, the Chez Panisse famously has, for a pudding, served just one peach on a plate. Because, you know, that's taking it to the extreme, but there was the most perfect peach. And to be able to appreciate that just as it was, no adornment, nothing had been done to it, hadn't even been cut. And perfect not because it was, you know, a shape that conformed to standards, but perfect because it had been picked at the right moment and the tree was in the right sort of sunny spot. Anyway, it's really lovely.
Blanche's description of food was like describing art. And art is another passion of mine. I have a friend that works with some artists, and one day he introduced me to Alex Getz. Alex invited me to pose for him. I was like, wow. I had seen his work at museums and galleries, and he's just fabulous.
Is that a definition for beauty?
I don't know. Beauty is not absolute, it's a cultural thing. Beauty is a variable. And it's presented to you as an absolute. Beauty is absolute.
It is.
But it's a variable. It moves, it changes. And I used to ride on the subways and look at the people, and I look at a person and say, that person's very beautiful, and I wonder whether they know they're beautiful.
I was fascinated by Alex's interpretation of me. It was both weird and amazing to see me on his canvas. He painted more than my looks. He painted also my soul. I saw more layers of Chris in that painting. It was almost a spiritual experience. That's when I started realizing that the film was a little bit about me and not just some abstract notion of beauty. It was time to go home, both to Brazil and to the world of fashion, and question everything I've been taught about beauty. In the late 50s, Pitangui, also known as the Pope of Plastic Surgery, he convinced the then president Kubitschek to the right to beauty was as basic as any other health need. Rio de Janeiro has many legends, and one of them is Serginho. Him and John Casablanca discovered many models.
Eu me preocupo um pouco com a questão da anorexia, porque eu acho que realmente a passarela, as meninas estão cada vez mais magras, né? Por mais que se fale nesse assunto, os estilistas escolhem as muito magras, né? Na minha época que eu comecei, 90 de quadril era uma coisa assim ideal. Hoje em dia já está 87, entendeu? Então, assim, eu fico preocupado um pouco com isso, porque eu não acredito nessa estética.
E hoje em dia você vê cada vez mais um mercado para meninas que não necessariamente são daquele padrão de beleza óbvio, o que eles chamam plus size. Então são meninas mais gordinhas. E é muito fácil também para as pessoas olharem para uma pessoa que é mais gorda e apontarem o dedo, mas e aí as pessoas que têm dificuldade com anorexia e bulimia e não sei o que lá, que não são só modelos, são pessoas no meio da população. Então tem os dois lados.
When I first started modeling, I met girls that had gone under the knife, and I thought that that's what I should do. So I, too, had breast augmentation and liposuction by the age of 19, and I was very confused about that. I didn't know the real reason behind those procedures. Did I do that for me or for others?
E por que a beleza é tão importante?
Todas as pessoas gostam de beleza, coisas bonitas. E eu não tô falando só pessoas.
Before becoming a model, I remember flipping through the magazines and seeing Shirley Mallman. She's also from a small town in the south of Brazil.
Faz parte do nosso DNA. Eu acho que, né, a gente sempre procura coisas bonitas, o que a gente faz a gente se sentir bem.
Eu não sei se sou só eu, mas eu acho que as pessoas cada vez estão ficando um pouquinho mais preocupadas só com a parte externa. E não tá esquecendo de alguma coisa?
Com certeza. A gente é tão bombardeado com essa coisa de beleza artificial e perfeição e nananã, e é TV, é social media, são revistas, são, sabe? Tão bombardeado com essas coisas dessa beleza externa que a gente esquece um pouco de ver a beleza nas pequenas coisas do dia a dia.
I've been friends with Laura for over a decade, and I remember her transitioning careers.
Eu, às vezes, me olho no espelho e falo, Jesus, mas pra que eu vou ficar ligando também pra isso, entendeu? Eu já liguei demais e já me machucou demais. Então, hoje em dia, assim, ou você aceita mesmo o que você é e deixa a coisa rolar e vê as coisas bonitas que você faz, porque eu acho que, assim, a coisa se eu for tocar e as pessoas gostam do que eu tô fazendo e vibram com o que eu tô fazendo, pra mim já é maravilhoso e eu fico super feliz de que essa minha beleza tá sendo exposta e as pessoas estão apreciando. A carcaça vai cair. Anyway, vai cair. Então, se você não for uma pessoa admirável, não adianta ter uma carcaça bonita, porque tudo vai cair.
All those conversations reminded me of another fashion manager I know. She was Naomi Campbell's agent when she became the first Black woman on the cover of French Vogue.
Beauty is not just how you look. You can look quite weird, actually, and not conventionally beautiful, and be a very, very successful model. But a lot of it's to do with what's up here, is intelligence. A lot of it's to do with your persona and how nice you are. If you have a really good personality, that also transcends and goes into your part of your own personal beauty. And that's very important because you can be... I've met many beautiful girls that are drips and they're not successful because they have nothing. A lot of them are sort of
empty.
Empty, yeah. The one thing I will say about beauty is you can be not beautiful and then suddenly you get confidence and you're just stunning. Confidence breeds a more beautiful girl, and it's true.
When Carol mentioned self-confidence, I realized that that was something I never had. I wanted to talk to someone that is just as vulnerable as I was when I was a teenager.
Try to look in the mirror before I leave and put a smile on and just say, you know, you're gonna have a good day. You are beautiful, keep striving, keep pushing, keep going on. You know, everybody should have self-acceptance and growth and gain that respect for themselves. Because so many girls nowadays, they'll lose respect for themselves just to be what society wants them to be. It's hard because when you go into the magazines and then you see exactly what people perceive as beauty, and if you look nothing like that, it's like, wow, it's like a slap in the face.
Somehow I saw myself in her. And then when she said, you know, you flip through the magazines and you see people that look nothing like you, that broke my heart. Because I was one of those people. I always had the choice to leave and I didn't, because it was convenient for me. When I started to research for the link between self-esteem and beauty, I was shocked to know that girls, they don't go to school on the days they don't feel pretty. And there's even a link between low self-esteem and domestic abuse. I don't know why, but making the film made me feel empowered. I felt I had a purpose, even if the film was just for me. For the first time, I was my priority. I wanted to take care of myself. I didn't want to go through that again, and I didn't want anyone else to go through that.
So I really find beauty within the imperfections. I am currently on a mission of raising awareness for Ehlers-Danlos syndrome.
And what is that?
Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is a connective tissue disorder. I chose to use photography as a way of raising awareness and aiding others on the journey to self-love.
And do you see a change? People's mentality changing, the media changing?
Well, I hope. That's what this documentary is for.
Maybe there was part of me that wanted to impress other people, to say, okay, I'm feeling amazing. And by the way, I'm actually making a film. Because in my head, that was the coolest thing that I could imagine. I wanted to hide behind the film, to cover up everything that had happened that no one knew about. In the back of my head, I think I knew my ex was still following me. I was always looking over my shoulder. And then he started to threaten me. And I had to get a restraining order to protect me. He didn't show up for our court hearing, but instead he sent 2 lawyers to deny everything. I started to have panic attacks, and I thought that I was really going crazy because I couldn't share that with anyone. Out of desperation, I decided to leave my house. I didn't know where I was going to go, what I was going to do, or how long I was going to be gone for. I wanted to feel safe and thought that if I immerse myself in a different culture, if I try to lose myself and just be. But it didn't work. The rooster woke me up at 5 a.m. I couldn't sleep at night. I kept having the same nightmare that my ex found me and killed me. And I had to check multiple times if the door was locked. And I couldn't believe that I was in paradise, but I wasn't happy. Did I really think that all my problems would stay in LA, locked in that storage?
Music will be treated here.
You just have to open your heart, your senses.
It wasn't working because I was looking on the outside. I was determined to try absolutely anything and everything that could fill up the void I had inside. I remember people talking about ayahuasca, and a lot of people make fun of it. All of a sudden, I started seeing it everywhere, and somehow my email ended up in an ayahuasca mailing list. I almost deleted it, but for whatever reason, I decided to read it. Indigenous people in the banks of the Amazon, they have been brewing the concoctions for thousands of years, mostly for religious or spiritual purposes. They consider it a medicine, a way to heal internal wounds and reconnect with nature. I've been always the person that was scared of flies, mosquitoes, and everything. But something inside was telling me to face my fears. My legs were frozen, and we had 1 hour march into the jungle. I could not stop my tears. I was feeling like an abandoned little girl. I stayed in a shack for 10 days. There were no walls, just a mosquito net around. So I was basically camping in the Amazon rainforest. I saw a red whistle hanging on my bed, and part of me wasn't really sure if I really wanted to know why they put the whistle there, but I asked anyway. The answer was devastating dry. Vas a saber si lo necesita. I could not sleep, as expected. On the day of our first ceremony, the shaman took us for a walk around the jungle to harvest the ingredients and help him to cook the medicina, as they call the ayahuasca.
That's a lot of fun. Yeah, baby. Tiene 12 años.
He told us to hold our intentions in our minds Mine was to overcome my fears.
Que traí de Celine el otro día no era así la ayahuasca. No se hacía el agua así.
In the beginning, it was only fear. Fear of the dark, fear of the jungle, fear of being alone. I could not put my finger on where all the fear was coming from. I was so vulnerable and scared. I felt small, insignificant, as if the whole world had turned its back on me. I felt trapped. My chest was tight, my body was numb and sweaty. It was way more difficult than I had first anticipated. I just wanted to cry. When the medicina kicked in, I started seeing bridges everywhere. But I was too scared to cross them. Somehow I knew I had to. Suddenly, a cycle of vomiting, crying, laughing, and smiling all at once began. Something was being lifted in that purge. I saw the gap between who I thought I was and who I really am. The pain of the reality, it was almost unbearable. It was like staring into the world's most honest mirror. My body started to shake and I died. I was both in my body and outside of it. I broke out of the box I had built for myself, and when I opened my eyes, it was like seeing light for the first time. The experience with ayahuasca was like being pulled out of this world to a place where I could see the bigger picture. It gave me a better understanding of things, and I felt so much love and compassion. There was no right or wrong, good or bad. There were no boundaries. There was just oneness. There was pure love. I learned where all the fear was coming from. It was the lack of love, self-love, unconditional love. I saw beauty that no mirror can ever reflect. I was reborn. There was still one more person I needed to speak with.
My story is, I don't know if it's unusual, but it's sad because I see things in my life now that not so much regret, that I see it clearer. I think that's the word for it. I was married to a man for 5 years. I knew him since I was 19. And we were married. We had a child together. And on my 28th birthday, which is going to be almost 24 years ago, something like that, we were out celebrating, and he got angry because I caught him with someone else, which is weird. That he got very violent. He had punched me a couple of times and knocked me out, and so I was left unconscious on the ground. And I think that's what hurt me more than a lot of the other parts of it, because how does someone that you marry and care about leave you on the side of the road? What I look like now is 1,000 times better than what I look like, which is hard to believe. But there is just a nose hanging and nothing. And my 4-year-old son was so terrified he wouldn't come near me, probably for 6 months.
You were saying about the mask that you wore for so many years.
I chose to hide my face, hide everything about me. So I wore a surgical mask, sunglasses, a scarf, for probably about 12 years. One time I forgot it. We were driving out, my friends and I forgot I had such a panic attack. I had to rush back home, and then I just didn't go out. And to be at a place after years of that, to just say, you know what, I'm not going to wear this mask. I've had probably 18 surgeries. I've had all of this. It's not my job to make you feel better. And that's what I was doing. I was trying to hide it so Kiko wouldn't feel uncomfortable and I wouldn't feel uncomfortable. That I'd just, you know what, you either like me for me or you don't have to like me at all. That's okay. I forget I look like this. I go about my day and I totally forget, because sometimes somebody will look at you like, what are you looking at me for? What? What? And then I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot. Little kids will stare or something, like, I totally forgot. I have this scarring and stuff, and it's nice that I wasn't even thinking about it. I just forget it. And I think that has been a great gift that I was able to have, that someone gave me the ability to just be me and go on. You said you had to travel. I had to self-medicate myself so we could just forget, but it's always still there. And because it's always still there, I think that we made it out. This is the end.
It's kind of like a numbing phase.
Right. But then
you face reality eventually.
Yeah, and that's another road in itself that, for me, and I think the end result is that we are going to be at peace with ourselves and with other people, and that we don't have to work so hard at being perfect.
I was so honored to speak with Sandra and share with her my dirty secret and learn how she overcame her trauma. I was relieved. I finally got that out of my chest. What a beautiful woman that she is. When I first started traveling, I had no idea what was going to happen. And looking back now, I think I was trying to escape my reality, as if my problems would just evaporate. But they followed me. Fear, shame, pity, all these emotions travel with me in my backpack. And I was eventually forced to face each one of them. When I stopped looking for beauty outside of me, I finally found it. I had to silence the outer voices and peel off all the social masks I had been wearing for so long. I became who I really am. Beauty expanded inside of me until I became it. I thought I was on a quest for beauty. It turned out I was on a quest for myself. When I arrived back home, I got a message from one of my best friends who lives in Chile. She wanted to introduce me to her cousin who happens to live in LA too. She thought he could be a good person to know in the film industry. And she even joked that she was going to introduce me to my future husband. Well, it turned out that she was right. Only after I learned how to love myself unconditionally, I was able to truly love someone else and accept the love I know I deserve.
I think the best way to really see beauty is starting to see your own beauty, because the world around you is just a reflection of your inner world,